Hey, what's up guys? As you can see behind me, I've got my fishing kayak loaded and ready to go, and that means that I'm gonna go out and go catch some fish. But before I do so, I actually had one subject that I wanted to talk to you all about. I know a lot of you are thinking about getting into kayak fishing. Maybe you already have one, maybe you're thinking about getting one, maybe you don't even know you want one yet. Here's something that I think you might want to think about. I have a feeling some of you out there might be wondering, how hard is it to actually fish out of a kayak? And I think there's a few subjects that we need to think about when it comes to that question. The first one being is, how hard is it to cast in a kayak? Because obviously when you're used to casting from bank or from a boat, it's a little different. You're standing up, it's not that hard. When you're seated on the water at a low level, it can be a little bit different, right? Well, here's a couple clips to show you just how easy it is. So as you can tell, it's really not that hard to cast. You know, it takes a little bit of getting used to. You're seated, you're close to the water, it's a little bit different. There's times where I'll screw up and throw it in a tree, but everybody does that, so You know, the next thing you might be wondering is, how hard is it to set the hook? Setting the hook can be weird, right? It would be really weird out of a kayak. You're seated right on the water. I mean, it's gotta be weird. Well, check this out, folks.
Got him.
Big.
Oh gosh.
So as you can tell, I'm pretty much a hook set master. Am I right? Come on, am I right? Yeah, they're all small fish, but it doesn't really matter now, does it? Setting the hook is not that hard. It's just, again, it takes time on the water. Well, the last question you might have is, well, how hard is it to work a bait effectively out of a kayak? I mean, when you're out on the boat or out on the bank, you're standing up and you can really present your lure. Now, I'll say this is probably the hardest thing to get used to, because sitting down in a kayak makes you have to do different angles with the rod, so it's kind of awkward. So let's think about like a Zara spook or a topwater frog or a popper, jerk bait, those kind of things. They're kind of weird, right? Because you're used to twitching down. Now you might have to twitch to the side or twitch up unless you can stand up. So my conclusion on that is really this. Treble hooked baits are a lot of times gonna be a lot harder to work out of a kayak, especially if you don't have pedal drive. Now, if you have pedal drive, obviously it's gonna be a little bit easier because you'll be able to keep moving while you're working your bait. But with a paddle, a little bit harder. That said, it's not the end of the world, and I still catch a ton of fish on treble hooked baits, just the same as Ned rigs and Senkos and all that stuff. So really, in conclusion here, folks, if you're thinking about getting a kayak, do not let those things intimidate you. In fact, go out and try a couple times, and you'll realize after a few, 3, 4, 5 trips, you'll realize that it's not that hard to fish out of a kayak. In fact, it's awesome. It's so much fun, and I've had boats and I loved fishing out of boats, but I honestly think I like fishing out of my kayak more than I like fishing out of boats. If you want to see more examples, obviously I've got a ton of kayak fishing videos, and you can click those up here, down in the link below, whatever. And then I've also got some information about what you might need to think about before buying a kayak, and you can see that here or down below or whatever. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go catch a fish now. We'll see you later.